Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of The Owner's Box After Dark. I am your host, Mark Farinella, the former assistant sports editor, Patriots beat writer, and complete man about town for a daily newspaper down here in southeastern Massachusetts. And this is our 20th episode, 20th, of The Owner's Box After Dark, which we started in July. Now, of course, we did one a night during that period. We're trying to get it down to one a week now if we can keep it to there, but so far so good. So, 20 episodes, good for us. The biggest, trying to get my elbow on the desk here, that's why you're seeing everything shaking. The biggest question of the night is, when am I going to get a haircut? You can't see it here, although some of my comb over is starting to look like Donald Trump's. But it's getting a little long along the sides. These headphones cover a multitude of sins. So, it's about time for me to clean up my act a little bit. But it's been a good act so far. 66 years worth of it. We are, of course, recording this on Tuesday, October 6th, 2020. From Studio A of Fulton Pond Studios in Mansfield, Massachusetts. It is relatively chilly out there. It's getting down into the 50s. I guess it's going to head a little bit more towards the 40s tonight. Starting to get that feel of fall, and indeed, it's about time. Well, like I said, we're in October now. This is when I should be covering high school football, and I'm not. But we will talk about that topic a little bit later in this. But the first topic I want to hit upon is what, as Dana Bash of CNN said, what a shit show this whole weekend was. Oh, man. Thank you, Dana, for the frank words after the after the first of the presidential debates, that is. I have my little crib cards here that I'm trying to get into order. I'm going to concentrate first on what I know best, which is the New England Patriots. But before I do, I just want to mention that the beverage of choice for tonight is two of these little cans of Starbucks Double Shot Espresso. This is the espresso and cream version, which is pretty tasty. And I poured two of them into a cup, put a little ice in there, and one squirt of liquid Splenda, and it really does taste like a delicious latte. So, cheers to you, and thank you to the folks from Seattle. And, of course, the mood candle of the evening, if I don't light my house on fire, is, again, the Yankee Candle Macintosh, making this house smell a little bit better. I have some evergreen ones that they're more seasonal. They aren't out the whole year. I found some on Amazon, and I was able to pick a couple of those up and get the supply replenished here. Those are terrific. I mean, if you want your house to smell like a pine forest, I recommend those candles. They are great. And when you think of some of the smells that can arise in a bachelor's house, well, you know that every now and then you need a candle to help things out a little bit. All right, the first major topic of this episode is, of course, the New England Patriots. Oh, man, what a situation that cropped up all of a sudden on Saturday, huh? COVID-19 positive for Cam Newton, the quarterback of the New England Patriots. Game postponed by the National Football League. Also a third-string quarterback for the Chiefs. Also tested positive, but nobody really cares who he is. Went back and forth, several tests to everybody, a whole series. They don't know when it was going to be, whether it was going to be Monday or Tuesday. Finally, I think 2 sets of tests came back for both teams, and nobody else was positive. So the Patriots head out on the road on Monday morning, early Monday morning, to play a Monday night football game in Kansas City. Wow. I hope I intend to put the picture up here of what the state police in Massachusetts did to get them to Logan Airport. But understand, this was a real production number for the Patriots. Not only one plane, but two planes this time of players. The 20 players and coaches that were most exposed to Newton went up to Boston, took a charter flight out of Boston. And the state police had to basically stop traffic in the middle of the morning commute. And if you haven't noticed, the commutes are backed up practically normal now because a lot of companies have gone back to work, even though the pandemic, is about to enter its 32nd week. And it seems to be getting a little bit more momentum, as you well know. The traffic was backed up right around, I think, where the gas tanks are, maybe even a little bit farther back, or the gas tank. There used to be two. I am sure that was a test of the love of the franchise for quite a few people in New England, because you can love the Patriots all you want until they do something that gets you to be late to work. And I think that there were an awful lot of people who were late to work that morning. So anyway, though, the other plane took off from Providence with the rest of the team. They both arrived in Kansas City right about at the same time. They had enough time to go to their team hotel, which, as it turns out, they did not sleep in that night. They were able to go there for a meal, eat, and to have meetings, and then maybe get a little bit of rest before it was time to go to Arrowhead Stadium for the 7:05 start Eastern time. And they played the game, and it was a surprising outcome, to be honest. I mean, it was close. It was, 3-0 at halftime? Or 6-3, rather, 6-3. And the final score, of course, was the Chiefs 26, the Patriots 10. Not unexpected. I expected worse. Even with Cam Newton playing, I did not think that they would be close to the Chiefs. But the Chiefs, and this is something that we'll have to keep an eye on going forward. I don't know if Patrick Mahomes has had a good game yet against the New England Patriots. I think maybe they might have taken him a little lightly, thinking that the issues of having to fly out at such short notice and to be prepared to play right off the bat, whether that was something that they thought. But they struggled until the second half. And one of the main reasons why the Chiefs still probably had nothing to worry about was that the quarterback of the Patriots was Brian Hoyer. Now, I want you to understand something. I do not dislike Brian Hoyer personally. In fact, I've interviewed him several times. Great guy. He was a good soldier. He was the perfect backup to Tom Brady because he had no ambition whatsoever to take over the job. And Brady, outside of the 2008 season and late in his first season as a second-year player, he's not been even remotely at risk of missing any games. But when Hoyer left and has been, I think, by now on 7 NFL teams, and he's had actually 3 different stints here in New England, I think he conclusively proved to everybody that he just basically can't play. You know, nice guy, just can't play. He makes dumb mistakes out there. He's just not a great quarterback. He's not a guy who you would really put a lot of faith in if you think that you're somehow going to come away with an upset victory. So while the game was close, and I will definitely credit the Patriots defense for that, what a great job they did of really stiffing the run of the Kansas City Chiefs and forcing Mahomes to make some dumb decisions of his own. But, you know, Hoyer made a number of mistakes, and the worst of them was in the red zone right near the end of the first half, where they could have gotten 7, taken the lead, could have gotten 3 and tied the game. It's funny, before I get to that, I just want to mention Jim McBride of the Boston Globe had posted a picture on Twitter of a fan in the stands who had taken a Brady jersey, taped up the 1 so you couldn't see it, so it just left the number 2, which is Hoyer's number. And where the Brady name was on the back, he had written on and stuck on his shirt, Hoyer the Destroyer, in which I sent a response that said, more likely it should be Brian than crying. And I was right. the worst brain fart I've ever seen, one of them anyway, was as the Patriots are threatening to score. We're inside the last few seconds. Hoyer has the ball. He has enough time to drop back, throw a quick pass. If it's complete for a touchdown, hooray. If not, leave him enough time to get Nick Folk on the field for a short field goal. Instead, Hoyer backpedals, runs around, and then gets dropped for a sack. Doesn't even attempt to throw the ball away. And he starts signaling for a timeout. Problem is, on 3 consecutive plays, the Patriots had already used all 3 of their timeouts. Woo! Brian, my man. Anyway, among the many other reasons that Bill Belichick had to do, finally, sometime in the second half, he went to the youngster, Jarrett Stidham, who had practically no preparation time, I'm sure, for any of this. In fact, I'm not sure Hoyer had a lot of preparation time for this one either, because Newton practiced for most of the week. But Stidham comes in, first drive he scores or gets a touchdown, and wow, boy, I tell you, here we go. Then he had a couple of interceptions, and one of them I believe was a pick six. You can blame Julian Edelman for that because the pass hit him in the hands and bounced into the air and was picked off and run back. So that's that. 26-10, closer than it should have been in many ways. But as I said many times during the second half, I think the sleeping giant was awakened at one point early when Stidham showed a little bit of ability. That is not a very good Kansas City defense, by the way. I think Mahomes is going to learn very quickly what it's like to be Tom Brady, because he has the big salary and he has the some of the weapons he likes on offense, but that defense this year has taken a step backwards. And I can think of any number of Brady teams, especially in that decade-long period in which he did not win a Super Bowl after number 39 and then on to 49, and with 2 appearances in between there, when the Patriots just weren't a complete team. Either they didn't have enough weapons on offense, or they didn't have enough weapons on defense, enough good players to stop other teams from scoring. And I think I won't blame Brady for that entirely, because he did take pay cuts or maintain a lower salary, try to give back some to the salary cap to keep some people around, but it just didn't work. And, of course, later on, Patriots came back very strong, in fact, and won 3 more. So you never know what can happen in these situations. But I think this Kansas City team, if their defense does not improve, there might be someone out there who could knock them off. In the meantime, we look back at the situation the Patriots are in now, heading into this week. First of all, just to indicate how bad a game this was for the 2 quarterbacks, Brian Hoyer was 15 for 24 for 130 yards. He did not have a touchdown pass. He did have an interception and a passer rating of 59.4. Jarrett Stidham, 5 for 13, 60 yards, the 1 touchdown early, 2 interceptions, 39.4 for his passer rating. Now, there were a couple of bright spots. One of them was Damian Harris making his debut as a running back for the Patriots. He really had very little time last year in his rookie year. Came off of injured reserve just as Sony Michel went on it. Carried the ball 17 times for 100 yards. Positive start. Receiving core, not much to talk about there. The leading receiver was a guy who we were all happy to see back, and that's James White. James returned to the team this week after spending time down in Florida to deal with the consequences of what has happened, his father's fatal automobile accident and his mother's, fortunately, continued recovery in Miami area hospital. And as James said after the game, that she is improving, and that is definitely good news. James caught 7 of the 8 balls thrown at him for 38 yards. He ended up being the leading receiver in the number of catches. After the game, he spoke very candidly about his feelings. And I actually thought that a couple of the reporters, and I don't know who they are because there's been such a turnover in the reporting corps, a couple of reporters kind of pressed him maybe a little bit too much. I mean, James broke down during the interview, and if you're watching it on Channel 4, as I was, I really, really felt bad for him. And I think a lot of veteran reporters might have gotten the first few comments, which were poignant in themselves, and then not taken it any further until a later date, until maybe he's had some time to kind of settle it in his heart a little bit more. But stand-up guy talking about that, I don't think I could have done it. Julian Edelman, 3 catches, 6 thrown at him. I think the 3 were all drops, 35 yards, and of course that one that led to the pick 6. And a lot of people are wondering whether Julian Edelman is coming to the end of the road, and I'm beginning to think that that might be the case. He is 34 years old. He is taking a horrific beating all these months and all these years, rather. So I would happen to think that if he is showing some decline, he has given them everything he has, and the thing you hope for at that point is that he doesn't, screw himself up for the rest of his life. Okay, as I said, going forward right now, Cam Newton continues to test. I'm sure they're testing him continually. Apparently he is doing fairly well. If he doesn't have a positive test again over the next few days, or if he's asymptomatic, he could possibly come back and practice by the end of the week. Whether that means he can play against the Denver Broncos, and that game, of course, has been moved to a 4:25 start at Gillette Stadium on Sunday. I don't know if he could start. I mean, if I'm Bill Belichick right now, and of course he did not answer this question when he was asked earlier today, but if I'm Bill Belichick, I give the practice snaps to Jarrett Stidham and let him try to get his feet underneath him. I think they can beat the Denver Broncos no matter what. Other little twist, though, and this is that other shoe falling, and I'm a little worried about this. Practice squad defensive tackle Bill Murray tested positive today for COVID-19. He was not with the team in Kansas City. He did not go on either of the planes. And so this might be a Cinderella story that the Patriots don't experience. I couldn't resist. Guy doesn't even look anything at all like Bill Murray. But, this could be interesting because if a practice squad player gets it, he's around the team, this, that, and the other, they're going to be testing repeatedly everybody over this next week. If all of a sudden there's a little hot spot that pops up, like with the Tennessee Titans, well, you may not see your New England Patriots for a few weeks or longer if that happens. And that's the one thing that I think that the NFL is totally dreading right now, is the possibility of a super spreader situation. And, of course, I don't believe that there's any plans yet to have fans back into Gillette Stadium. You might remember that at the beginning of the season, the state and the town of Foxborough both agreed that there would be no fans allowed into the stadium for the first 2 home games. We are in October now, and we have taken that next step. The bye week follows this one, so I don't know if there's going to be any move to change things up, but right now it does not look like there will be fans. Although they have in the parking lots and in the kind of that area near the Hall of Fame and where all the other gates are, they have marked the pavement and the concrete with lines and arrows that would direct people to how they can enter the stadium with social distancing. So they're prepared for that possibility. And the plan at the beginning of the year was to allow, I think it was about 16% capacity or something like that, which would have been about 13,000 fans, I think it was the number that I saw. That may still be on hold, but in the meantime, we just got to hope that there's a team for them to watch. So we will all be keeping our eyes closely on this situation as the days pass. So we will be back with a few other topics and a little bit more commentary after this message.
たらことバターの美味しいバランス。新しくなったキューピーあえるパスタソースたらこ。
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Owner's Box After Dark. I'm Mark Farinella, of course. Who else would I be? It was one of the weirdest commercials I've ever seen. Those little things hopping towards the screen or having butter popped on them. That was one of the creepiest things I've seen in these commercials that I found on the internet. I just love the look on the young girl's face, like, oh man, they're certainly lending a little bit of levity to these days, and we need some levity. Okay, speaking of levity. I'm going to save any discussion about the COVID-19 situation for our beloved president until right towards the end, because I just don't want to get into it right now. But what I will get into is the return of me to broadcasting. I told you about this in one of the previous episodes. Yes, indeed, North TV, North Attleboro Community Television, will be broadcasting 9 King Philip Regional High School sporting events over the next few weeks. I will be doing 8 of those as the play-by-play man. One of them I can't make because I do have a follow-up appointment with my knee surgeon because, yeah, it's been 2 months and it still hurts like hell. So we'll see if Dr. Matskin can take a look at it and tell me, give me encouragement, or just say, yeah, well, maybe we better open it up again. I hope not. I don't think that's part of the plan. The truth of the matter is, when you're a 66-year-old man, and much of this damage was because of my age and other factors, including my girth, that things aren't going to heal as fast as they would for, say, like a running back on the Patriots, or somebody who may have had to have arthroscopic surgery for a sports injury. Yeah, those guys are younger. They heal faster. That doesn't happen with me. So I'm hanging in there. We'll do it. But yes, I am going to be doing the play-by-play starting on this Thursday, 2 days from now, or maybe less than that by the time you see this. I'm going to do play-by-play for the King Philip field hockey team at home again at MacTaz Field at 3:45 in the afternoon, playing my beloved Mansfield Hornets. Well, I can't say beloved Mansfield Hornets on a King Philip broadcast, but of course you all know that I went to that school. So I actually went to a field hockey game tonight, and you'll see some of the moments of that game. It's been a long time since I've seen field hockey, and of course there's one huge change, and I mentioned it in the last episode, that because of the COVID-19 fears of having a lot of people clustered in a close area, they've taken 8 people off the field. There are only 7 players per team actually playing, as opposed to 11. 6 attacking players and 1 goalkeeper for each side. And as a result, the game I saw earlier today when I was watching it, was a lot faster, a lot more interesting, and boy, I'll tell you, these kids have got to be in shape. Oh, to be young again, I'll tell you. See these kids running up and down a 100-yard field, and again, it's artificial turf at Mansfield, and it will be at King Philip as well, and it is, the ball moves fast in field hockey, and these kids have to move faster. So I was very impressed by what I saw. Also, I'm trying to harken some memories of field hockey. As I mentioned to you last time, I have not really been heavily into field hockey since 1979, when I was dating a local team's coach. And there's some good memories there. But yeah, it's a different game. 7-on-7 really does make a huge difference. Now, as for the game itself tonight at Alumni Field in Mansfield, actually Mike Redding, the new athletic director of Mansfield High and a longtime football coach, was holding fort, making sure that people went in the proper entrance. There's only one entrance allowed nowadays for everybody. They didn't get close to the 50 spectator limit. He would have let me in anyway, I think. But again, I think rather than put him into a bad situation, I would not have gone in if I thought that there was a chance that I would push them over that limit. I don't know if they're counting or anything like that, but there weren't that many people there. There were the teams, and then there were a smattering of a few people in the crowd. But we had a nice conversation about the changes and all that. So it is it's a different game. I'm looking forward to attempting play-by-play. It's a long way from the press box to the goals, and I'm going to have to really keep an eye peeled. But the one thing I'm worried about the most is that when you're wearing a mask and you're talking into the mask, because my microphone on the headset will go like here, and I'll have to basically have the mask over it. Now, that may open up a little bit more space for air to get in. That might prevent the one biggest problem that anybody with glasses has with these masks, is that they fog up. And oftentimes, too, from that distance, I lift up my glasses and use a set of binoculars if I know the action is going to be tight and close in that specific spot. Now, that's one thing with field hockey. You can do that. I mean, football is easy in that regard because you know everybody's going to be in a certain spot, and they're all basically in that field of view of your binoculars, unless you're using really, huge type of very narrow and distant focal point for these things. I'm using an 8x35, I think it's my Nikons, and they give me a nice wide view and closer up so I can get a little bit better in seeing the numbers when I might be challenged. These glasses correct me to 20/25, I think, so I don't have any real problems. And while my eyes are aging like the rest of me, I'm still good at doing play-by-play, especially for football and basketball. But field hockey is going to be a little different because things happen quickly, and because there could be a little bit of a jam up in front, and I know that they have to shoot from certain spots. They can't just kind of go rushing right in, but I'm not entirely up on that with the 25-foot circle and the other things, but I've printed out a lot of stuff I'm studying, and and then I'm going to have to do the same for soccer, because on the next day, on the 9th, I will be watching and broadcasting the Mansfield boys against King Philip at MacTass Field. And soccer, yeah. I know there are a lot of rules changes that are COVID accommodations, which the MIAA has imposed, and I've got those printed out, and I've been studying them. But I just have to keep an eye on – the biggest problem is I got to keep an eye on who has the ball, especially since the numbers might be a little smaller on the shirts. And sometimes things happen quickly, and you see the goal fine, but you don't necessarily remember who kicked it or who had no headers anymore too. That's another thing. So it'll be a challenge. I have a knowledgeable partner for the soccer games. I think I'm doing the field hockey games by myself, so it's gonna be a lot of me talking, kind of like these podcasts. Maybe I could do voices, maybe I could invent a partner, and have him comment during the thing. But I don't know if my friends at North TV would appreciate that. It'd probably be the last game I ever do for them if I do something like that. I could do my Coach Joe Beats character, the guy who sells Andy Reid's Cape Cod Tough chips on my audio podcast. Hi, I'm Coach Joe Beats, and I'm here to tell you all about the sport of football. Oh, yeah. Anyway, King Philip Field Hockey coming up soon. You folks in Plainville on the North TV Plainville channel, please watch it. We will be back in just a second with our last couple of topics after another word from our friends in the land of the rising sun.
黒いトドだよトドクロちゃんトドクロ大好きトドクロちゃんトドクロ飴
Hello again, and welcome back to the Owner's Box After Dark. 20th episode. Many more to come. These are easier to do than the other ones. I promise there will be interviews coming. I do have a couple of them lined up soon. Just have to make sure that this is going to be a particularly busy month for me, and I'm coming off of a long stretch of doing nothing. I'm actually welcoming that, but I'm also finding there's not good times for my friends to call in and to do the whole Skype thing and all that, but we will work on it. By the way, if in terms of Skype, I want you folks to search on YouTube for the man in the arena with Ed Berliner. You will find my friend Ed's video blog, video podcast, whatever you want to call it. I did one with him earlier this week. Also, I have a link to it on, I put links on Facebook and on Twitter. He had me and Larry Wiseman, the longtime USA Today NFL writer, and we had a great conversation. Went up for about an hour. I actually learned how to do a background on Zoom. On Skype. So I actually don't mind this backdrop behind me. It looks natural. It looks normal, although sometimes it gets a little busy over here with the reflection of the television set. And I do have the Lakers and Heat on right now. And the Lakers are leading by 6. But yeah, we talked about all sorts of stuff, and it was fun to talk about. But we did not talk politics. So, and I thought, do I really want to get into the whole Trump with COVID-19 thing? I mean, he's been such a damn fool throughout this whole thing, and now he's acting like he's the conquering hero, like he got out of the hospital in 3 days, and he looking like Benito Mussolini with his jaw out and gasping for air also most of the time because he was wrong. I mean, he's trying to put that forth, that I am your leader image. Good God Almighty. And now you hear that practically everybody in the White House has COVID-19 now. Our country is like closed for the illness right now. Not just Melania, but Kellyanne Conway, Chris Christie, a couple of Republican senators, practically everybody who helped Trump, his campaign manager, everybody who helped him in his debate prep before the debate with Joe Biden. Kayleigh McEnany came down with it. Oh, gee. And the one that I'm practically celebrating is Stephen Miller, his completely white supremacist, I'll say it, asshole. He's an asshole. Guy who's really come up with the philosophy of how to deal with the immigrants and the people along the border. My friend Jackie Pepper, who was on the audio podcast, went to Santa Monica High School in California, and so did Stephen Miller. And let's just say that Stephen Miller is not the most popular alum of Santa Monica High School, and they would actually like to have that one back. I think if they could pull that distinction away from them, I think they would. Anyway, they've all got COVID-19, and God bless them. I hope they all get better slowly. I actually met someone else recently that came down with it, and fortunately a mild case and recovered. I won't mention the names right now just for the privacy's sake, but it was kind of a shock to hear that. But people can recover, and if you're in much better shape than I am, which is, believe me, I am wearing the masks. I really want to do that anyway. But all this ties in to something that I saw on the website of my former newspaper tonight, in fact, and I want to share it with you. A young woman, you probably recognize her name, or at least her performing name. Her name's JoJo. Her last name is Levesque. She is from Foxborough originally. She has been a pop singer for many, many years, and now that she's 29, she is tried to mature her music a little bit. You may also remember that she was in a few movies. And the one that I think you probably will stand out the most is one she did with Robin Williams called RV, when she and the rest of this family, Robin Williams being the father, Cheryl Hines was the mother. I forgot who the little kid was, who was the boy, but he was annoying. They all had to go cross country in an RV so that Robin Williams could have a close vacation with his family, but then still go to a business meeting he had to go to. It was all surreptitiously done. The RV was a wreck. JoJo was actually not a bad little actress. You know, she's cute for one thing, which works in her favor. Anyway, according to the Sun Chronicle tonight, her latest single, which is called "The Change," has become an anthem of sorts for the presidential campaign of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Well, how about that? They play it at their rallies. Apparently, I haven't heard it, so the lyrics apparently do fit with the entire idea of bringing back decency to a country that's sorely in need of it. The change being that we need to vote for people with empathy and not delusions of grandeur fueled by steroids right now. So the story that I'm going to tell briefly about this is that JoJo Levesque could have been my daughter. Okay, deep breaths, everybody. I actually dated her mother a couple of times. Her name was Diana Blagden. She was from Foxborough. She was a singer in her church choir. I think she sold real estate at the time. And nice, very nice lady. We were matched up by somebody, and I can't remember who. She was pretty. She's kind of tall. JoJo is not tall. So we went on a couple of dates, and I will say, without fear of contradiction, just for the sake of accuracy, that absolutely nothing happened. We just didn't hit it off in the right way. I mean, I don't know. I tried, but I didn't try too hard to be anything other than polite and a gentleman and try to do everything the right way. But I don't think our religious views meshed that well. I don't remember anything terrible about it. It didn't work. So, okay, fine. At least I went out a couple of times. She was nice. And we move on. And then years later, I find out that Diana is the mother of a fairly successful music personality. Well, think about lost opportunities, huh? Can you imagine? I could be riding that gravy train. Actually, I probably couldn't, because if she were my daughter, she probably would have had no talent whatsoever. And she would have had this nose, which means there would have had to been a lot of work before she could have hit the silver screen. So good luck to JoJo. I'm so glad that she is on board with the proper campaign, with the one that we should be supporting. And JoJo, say hi to your mom if you ever hear this, and just tell her hi. She probably doesn't even remember me, but I never forget anything. So, and that should do it for tonight's episode of The Owner's Box After Dark. 20 episodes in the can, more to come. Once again, I implore all of you, I absolutely implore all of you to do everything you can to combat the spread of the coronavirus. I always show it to you. I always use it. Hand sanitizer, plenty of it here. I'm ready for the next shutdown. Although I probably should go out and get some toilet paper just in case, you know. But please, do everything you can. Wear the masks. That's important. It's going to be a challenge to do the play-by-play wearing a mask, but I am going to do it. I don't think there'll be more than 4 people in the press box. I'll be very surprised if there are. It's a pretty large press box over at MacTaz Field, but I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do, because that's the way we beat this thing. This is not a political statement. This is the facts. The mask right now is the best way to combat the coronavirus. Please, not just for yourself, but for the folks around you, please wear one. We should be back soon, probably about a week's time, with another one of these. So, and like I said, I am working on getting together with some friends and people that you might be interested in listening to do our audio podcast. So, on behalf of everybody here at Duck and Cover Productions, I really want to wish you all a happy middle of October. Don't mention pumpkin spice to me, please. Don't mention it at all. And be good to yourselves. Good night, everybody.